My name is Sheree Krider. I started smoking when I was 15 years old. As far as calling it medicating, I didn't learn about the medical aspects of cannabis until I was about 32 years old. Really, not until a lot later than that. I was probably 40 years old before I really knew for sure. And then I realized how much that, yes, it had been a medicine to me at times that I didn't even realize it. Pretty much because people around me was doing it. I was a teenager. Definitely marijuana helps me with chronic pain and anxiety. So I've had as many diagnoses as they have prescribed me different drugs for them. It helps me to maintain my daily life without just laying down and giving up and just going away. Because without that, I would not be able to get up and to carry on a normal day at all. Ended taking so many drugs that were prescribed to me that I would literally need to go back and pull my pharmacy records, which I could do, and show them to you. I was on everything from morphine to OxyContin, Soma, morphine patches at one time. Then they had me on methadone. And then when I came off the methadone, they got mad and wouldn't prescribe my Lortab, at which time they told me I could go to AA, and they might give me my Lortab back, but by the way, here's your prescription for methadone to get you through. And I handed it back to them, and I didn't go back to a pain. I went back to a couple of pain clinics, but I knew they wouldn't take me. I just did it to appease the doctor I was seeing at the time. Well, it varies from person to person. For me personally, I don't think there's any real side effects other than what you would take care of as if you was using any kind of thing any kind of prescription or food or anything that can alter your mental senses if you're going to be driving. No, I had one doctor that wrote a statement for me, which shall remain unnamed, that said that there was no reason for any pain clinic, and this was addressed to a specific pain clinic, that they had no reason to withhold my medication from me because of the fact that I smoked marijuana. But that's as close as it got. But, you know, it told me he had no problem. He knows how it helps me. And he's never had a problem with it, and I've never been refused medication by him. All strictly because of a positive drug screen for marijuana. I've never passed a marijuana drug screen. I've never came up positive for anything else that I wasn't supposed to be taking at the time, except marijuana, but every one of my tests were positive for marijuana. As far as my family and friends, the friends I most associate with now understand and know what's going on. They're more learned in the cannabis medicinal community. My family, they just like to smoke pot, basically, you know. And I hollered at them and hollered at them and hollered at them for years about this stuff, and it didn't really. They just kind of don't pay too much attention to me. I mean, they know, they've learned a lot. I think they've learned a lot. And I think they've learned a lot that they'll use later on in life. They may not think about it much now, but I know from personal experience, when my father died, it was like all the knowledge that he had before me, some of it came through me. and a lot of it had to do with hemp and cannabis marijuana. Legalization is a three-way street. You want to legalize it, you want to end prohibition, or you just want to allow patients to have it. Because if you don't end the prohibition, in the long run, in the short run, it's good for patients. And that's why I pay attention to the medical marijuana movement, because nobody wants to see somebody in a wheelchair taken to jail. Okay, that's just totally off the wall outrageous. But at the same time, the only way you're going to end the whole drug war is to end the prohibition. So that's, my personal preference would be in the prohibition. Are we going to get that right now? No, we're not. It's going to be, it would damn near take a civil war, if not a civil war, to actually end prohibition. Oh, undoubtedly, there's been a lot of lies told. A lot of lies that go very, very deep, far and wide. And anybody that wants to Google marijuana and do a little bit of reading, you don't even have to read the whole thing. Just scan through the information, and if you can't figure it out, then you don't want to know. Well, right now I have, mainly what I do is pass along the news of what's happening with the cannabis and hemp issues through blogs and websites. I was former VP of the U.S. Marijuana Party, and I resigned that position but still hold it interimly. Right now I'm focusing, I really resigned it for personal reasons and to promote Kentucky, because the U.S. Marijuana Party is a one-party platform and Kentucky's not a one-party state, or a one-platform state, I should say. There's so many things going on here, I can't just talk about marijuana and not talk about something about the other thing. Most of the time I smoke it out of a one-hit bowl or just roll a joint the old-fashioned way. No, I have been very lucky, because I've had a couple of incidents, but I cannot say that I have ever been hassled by law enforcement, and I'll tell you why I think that's so. Number one, I don't go out in public a whole lot. Truthfully, I stay behind. I'm a homebody. I stay at home and I do my thing on the internet, and I don't go out and go bar hopping and do this and that all the time. I always kept it at a minimum misdemeanors worth in my home. I didn't go around smoking in cars and blowing the smoke out the window and turn the radio up and then wonder why they pulled me over. Other than the fact of not being able to find what I needed at the quantity or quality or price, not really. I love Gatewood Galbraith. I love that man. Gosh, I don't know where to even start. He's the best civil rights activist Kentucky ever had. God bless him. You know, I may be an anti-prohibitionist and I may fight for what I want, but you can only take baby steps. So, yeah, do what I have to do to get these patients, these people, out of law enforcement's hands. Definitely. And then, but still work toward anti-prohibitionism in order to win this war. Because that's what it is. It's a war. Honestly, at first I was pretty worried about it, but I'm glad that Senator Clark has stepped up and did what he did, and I have to commend everybody. And I have to mention the Kentucky Hemp Coalition too. They're fighting for hemp in Kentucky. So all of a sudden now it popped up. It's just, and I know everybody's probably said this and heard this, but it was a shame that it had to wait until after Gateway was gone. Because he may be seeing it now, but I surely wish he had been here to be in the middle of it. But, oh sure, I'll support anything that's going to protect anybody from law enforcement. Especially when it comes to cannabis. My birthday, May 2nd, Derby Day, 2009. And I had bought my copy of The Last Free Man in America. And I took it down there to Lexington. And he comes walking out with this big stack of books. And I said, "Here, you have to sign my book. I paid for mine." And he autographed that book and gave me a couple of more to hand out. So, and that was the first time I met him and really talked to him. And I just basically tried to follow everything the man did. If I could have done it, I would have been like a groupie, and I would have been in my car following him everywhere he went. In his campaign, I would have been there. But I was so limited with funds and ways and means that I just simply cannot do it. So the only thing I can do is sit on the internet and post that information that I can find and try to spread it out there so somebody sees it that maybe don't know what going on, and they might pick up on that. Because when I first started out, there was a Kentucky marijuana party before me a long time ago, but nobody really recognized it at all. And then I went into the U.S. Marijuana of Kentucky party, and I started that in the latter part of 2005. And it wasn't until now. I mean, I'd say about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people started popping up here and there. But until then, I felt like I was the only one out there. It was me, and there was a few other people out there, but they weren't active on the internet. They were active activists, but they weren't much active on the internet. So, but it's starting to bloom. I think there's a place for medical grade marijuana, and I think, yeah, there's a time and there's a place for everything. And yes, there should be prescription grade marijuana, cannabis available for patients in need, because there's so many different kinds. I mean, everybody knows Stephen DeAngelo, okay, in Harborside. He's the master at it. But it should be free to everyone. And it should be, the cannabis plant includes the hemp plant too. They're both one plant. It's just the way you grow them that changes one from cannabis to hemp. So that's why I'm an anti-prohibitionist. You got to take that law off of that plant. And yeah, there's a place for it for pharmaceutical companies to make their discoveries and do what they want to do. If they want to play the stock market with it, I don't care. But if I want to grow mine in my backyard, leave me alone. And if I want to get mine from a neighbor or a caregiver or somebody else, leave me alone. Just as long as I'm not out in public bothering anyone, and I'm not making a nuisance of myself in public, and I'm not causing anybody harm, there's no reason for anybody to bother me over using cannabis. I hope this war ends quick, and I hope it ends in the right way. I hope everybody wins. I really do. I think in the end it'll pan out. What we're going to have to go through to get there, who knows.